Hey, welcome back to Mean Jean 1963, continuing my series on what is intuition. We've talked about hearing, we've talked about seeing, we've talked about messages from the other side, and today my conversation is about spirits and dreams. How do you know when you're just having a dream about your loved one or when you're getting a visit? Are you curious? I'll be breaking that down today on my channel. Stay watching. Hey, thanks for staying clicked in. We're talking about the beautiful, when it happens, it is divine. It's when our spirits come to us in a dream. And how do we know it's a dream? How do we know we're not just having an experience and we're longing and wanting and missing them so much that our subconscious mind has created these visits? And here's the real question: does it matter? If you wake up feeling totally connected to your loved one and that brings you peace, then whether it actually happened or it's a dream, my advice to you is stop the insanity. It doesn't make a difference, and enjoy and be grateful for the experience either way. But today I thought I would share a beautiful story of a time where, in my view, in my mind, I absolutely had a visit from my daughter, and what she said, how she said it, what it looked like. I'm going to break that down starting now. If a spirit shows up in your dream and you're in the middle of dreaming and you turn around and you see your spirit, and all of a sudden to you in that version or in that experience you think, they're still alive. Guess what? That's a dream. When there truly are in visit form, they are showing, and you know beyond a doubt that they are reaching you from the other side. In fact, it has that understanding that there is, that's why you know it's a visit. A spirit would really never truly show themselves if you were still in denial or in that aspect of your grief that you wouldn't be open to what they have to say. So if they seem at peace, if they seem to be aware that they're gone, that's the first, to me, that's the first clue that they're absolutely in in visit form for you from your loved one. The other thing that I feel happens is that you're in the middle of a dream, and let's say, picture that in your mind's eye for a second, and all of a sudden it's like all the props and the stage and the scenery gets completely removed. In fact, I have a saying, and probably not going to appreciate it, but it's the way my dictionary, I call it the big fat head. And the big fat head really literally means like they show up without any other distractions. So that's another thing that you'll feel when it's a visit. And another amazing fact is that I'm sure you've had the experience where you've woken up and you're half in, half out on a dream. And, you do something simple like, look at the time, and next thing you know, the dream is quickly out of your beautiful brain. Well, that would never happen in a visit. It is so real, so vivid, and you will never forget this dream. I will tell you, too, that the message is always clear and concise. It might take you a meditation and some mindfulness to figure it out, but they truly do show up with a clear message. They also will be in a beautiful state. So if they, for example, were sick when they passed away, you would not see them in that sick form ever again. They would show up. And, in my research of this, I actually read plenty of other people saying, they seem to glow like a hologram, seem to be floating, and that's just in the research and doing this video. So let's get in today to have you do my dream interpretation from my visit with my daughter. That's coming up next. So as I was saying earlier, we're going to continue this story. I'm going to share my visit, my dream with my daughter, and I thought it would be fun to give you an opportunity to dream interpret for me. And then if you have a dream, my gosh, please share down below in a comment or email me right offline. My contact information is in the description below. If you have an amazing story that connects to the one I'm about to tell you, more stories, I would love to hear them. It truly is my intention to share these stories to a broader audience. And if you've had those experiences, well, guess what? I want to talk to you. Okay, so let me give you this beautiful dream. I'm going to let you do the interpretations. Pause the video, come back on and tell you my interpretation of it. Are you ready? Let's do it. So in my dream, I truly was just, having a regular dream. In this particular dream, I was in the hospital, and for some reason I worked there, and I was serving people food and tending to them like a nurse would. And in the middle of my duty in my dream, I turned around and there was my daughter at the end of the hall standing there. And when I saw her, as I stated earlier, I knew that she was God. I knew there was no denial or anything around me. So when I saw her, it was this emergency or this awareness of, Isla. And I, of course, went quicker towards her and said, can we talk? And I knew that it was just moments of time that we had to spend together. So, of course, I'm going to take every second I can with my daughter. So she looked at me and she says, I can, Mommy, but I have to make sure they don't see. And she kind of summoned down the hall, and I turned to look. And when I looked back at my daughter, she was standing in front of me, and all I could see was her beautiful face. So she had covered herself in this white cloak almost. That's the closest I can get to an explanation to it. And I sat down Indian style, and she sat into my lap, and I knew in this dream that we only had minutes. So I quickly went right to task. Right now, at this point in my life, I was already working with other mothers who were grieving. So I was doing the work of assisting others. So I really was focused and driven in my dream to get to these answers, and that awareness, which is another reason why I absolutely know it was a visit. It wasn't dream-like state, changing sceneries. It was so specific and so clear. Back to my dream. She was sitting on my lap, Indian style, and I looked at her and I said, sweetie, real quick, what was it like when you came here, and what was that experience like when you first crossed over? And she looked at me and she said, Mummy, it was really hard for me to figure out that I had actually gone. It took me a while to figure that out for myself. And so there was this understanding that it wasn't immediate for her. So that was her first message to me. The second question I asked her was, did you come here with your grandmom? Kind of like, is she here now? I wanted to know if she was right behind her. And Isla looked back at me and she said, Grandma is here. There is times that I've been with her, but we did not come here together. In fact, we all come here separately. And she says, we all choose how we get here is the words she used. Okay, so your job to interpret this. And then the last question I asked her was, well, how old are you? How old are you now? And she looked back at me and said, I'm 11 for you now. Next year I will be 2. I've already chosen that. And just as she finished that last sentence to me, she brought my attention back down to the hall again. So we both kind of looked down to the place where she had originally come into my dream. And when I looked back to her, she was gone. So it was the most amazing thing. Now here's the real interesting part about this dream. When I woke up, I was sitting Indian style, just like I had been in my dream, with my hands extended out. The only thing missing, of course, was my beautiful daughter. But when that experience happened, well, it was a game changer. I will tell you, there was no doubt in my mind that that was a visit from her, and she was communicating to me everything that she experienced because I was asking her questions about the process of transitioning, and truly was of service to me in the people that I've assisted in my grief practice. So you're hearing this. Take a second, write your comments below. Am I missing anything? I'm going to get back on, take a little break here just so you know the difference between one side of the video and the next, and I'm going to give you my interpretation of the 3 questions. So don't forget, leave comment below. Let's get right to it. Okay, so hopefully you've left a comment below on what you think my beautiful dream and what the message is that Isla was giving me. And now I'm going to give you my interpretation. Now remember, there's probably 1,000 different things that you can interpret from that. Everyone is different. She came to me through these messages because I was being of service to people. This is my perception of what the messages were, and I'm okay with them. So let me share those with you. When I asked, what was it like when she crossed over? She really, truly was teaching me that she was in just as much in transition as I was. And, I have that message out to another woman I'm working with right now. Because of the way they die, we could have a whole conversation about that. The halls of healing. There's a couple other videos. I'll tag them up here that talk about that, what it's like when they first cross over. And my sense or my understanding of that is that she was just as, you've probably seen it in movies where, all of a sudden they're gone, and Ghost had this, right, where they turn around and they're not even aware. Why is everybody looking at them strange? They're right there standing up, right? I believe in my version or my understanding is that's pretty much what it was like for Isla. It was so sudden, car accident, traumatic brain injury, that it happened so fast that I really do think it took her, as she told me in that dream, a little while to transition and understand that she was truly gone. So I think the soul makes that journey when they're ready. So Dolores Cannon talks a lot about that in her work, and if you don't know who she is, look her up. She's fabulous. Her work is all based on hypnotizing people and having them go back to their deaths and to their experiences of other lives, and it's all noted. The people don't even know what they're saying, and she just documents it all down. So fascinating work, Dolores Cannon. Another plug for another YouTuber. So back to my video. When I said, did you come here with your grandmother? Makes sense. If two people died in a car crash, you'd think they'd kind of both go together, but that is not at all what Isla said. She said, no, Mummy, in fact, we all choose how we get here. That, heaven, nirvana, all those, I don't care what you call it, your day, your bliss is truly your state of your mind and what you perceive and how you see things. And I think heaven, nirvana, the other side, angels, I think if your perception of that state of mind is truly your heaven. So I think my daughter's beautiful expression of we all choose how we get there is really about that choice in which and how we see and what we believe, right? Because what we believe, we perceive, right? You know that from the law of attraction. And then the last question is, how old are you now? And she said, I'm 11 for you. Well, at the time of the dream, she would be approaching 11. So her telling me, I'm 11 for you now, next year I will be 2. When I first heard it, I was thinking, she's going to be 2 years old? How does that happen? Linear thinking, right? But what she was saying and what I understood after doing a beautiful meditation over it is that next year I will be 2, meaning T-O-O, as in also. So the idea of, as we know, there is no such thing as time. Time is an illusion on the other side, and it's just this moment that we're in right now. And I love that idea too, especially for you. If you've lost somebody, you do kind of age them, don't you? They'd be 87 today. I've heard people tell me, my father would be 125 today. Fascinating. They're still counting them, or they see them, I see my daughter as an 8-year-old, I see her as a 2-year-old. I can see her any way I wish, right? She's 23 today. Actually, she just turned 23 in my beautiful mind 2 days ago, right? So that's what I mean, and that's what she meant when she said, next year I will be 2. So that's my beautiful story. That's my interpretation. Thank you for inputting, and thank you for sharing, if you have, with me a story. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to sign off. This is Jeannie Lynch. Thank you for being part of this beautiful series. What is intuition? Seeing, hearing, feeling, dreams, spirits. All my favorite topics. If you'd like to hear more, don't forget, hit that bell for notification. This is Jeannie Lynch. Have a fabulous day. Namaste.